I think that one of the hardest things is to create a culture. But once you have a culture, it becomes easy, because the culture, you either fit in the culture or you don't. But if you fit, it's a culture that makes the person coming in grow, and everybody else too.
I learned about the whole culture thing the hard way. Welcome to the Break Free Podcast. I am your host, David Mancella. Today we got with us a good friend of mine and a great entrepreneur, Luis Uva. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very happy to be here.
Excellent. Luis, can you please tell the audience where do you live and what are you doing to make this world a better place?
To make this what? The world
this
a better
world
place.
A better place, yes.
I live in Miami, Florida, in sunny Miami, Florida, where the weather is mostly beautiful.
Nice.
I've lived here for about 30 years, and before that I was in Boston, which was rather cold, but I loved it too. I love every place I go. I really love. So I love both. I appreciate more the weather here because I was there. That probably somebody that has always been here. And can you hear that?
No?
Oh, okay. There's some constructions close by, and I didn't anticipate that.
No worries.
The world a better place. Well, I always I have a couple of businesses. One of the main ones is an engine parts business, and we sell engine parts worldwide. Diesel parts for diesel engines worldwide. Okay. And the way we make it work, it's an interesting question. We treat the industry works as all the parts industry work, such as engine auto parts, airplane parts, any kind of parts. They work in a certain way through part numbers. We consider ourselves to work in the hospitality industry rather than in the parts business. So we
How come?
Well, because I think we really are in all of us are in the hospitality industry. I believe that loyalty or customer loyalty is a myth. People come to you or work with you because you provide value above and above, over and above what other people do. And if that value is not there, then people simply move. It's nothing personal. It's that people look for what makes their life a better place, kind of a question. So we decided years ago to look at our industry as being in the hospitality industry, and what would our customers look for, and a part number, which is the industry way of looking at things, is not the way that is comfortable for them. It's really the part number system is for the industry, for the experts, for the business itself. But when you're a buyer or needing a part, you're really looking for the part, not the part number. Mm-hmm. So we got rid of part numbers, and so when people go in, they look for, and we designed the entire web and the experience so that non-experts would feel like expert in buying parts. So an analogy would be if you went to the supermarket, you were looking for a toothpaste with mint, but rather than you know what you want, but you go with a piece of paper that says that toothpaste is part number X, Y, Z, and W.
Yeah, makes no sense.
It makes no sense. But our industry, entire industry, billions of dollars, this industry is billions of dollars, works that way. And so we are making a difference in allowing people that otherwise will go through the struggle of being dependent on an expert to do that. So the other business that I'm starting has to do with feedback, 100% customer feedback that I think I mentioned to you. Mm-hmm. And that's, again, it's talking about value. How can we be of service? How can we be of value? And a lot of times what we think is valuable, if I think of something that will be valuable to you, and I very much believe it 100%, on the other side, on your part, you say, yeah, that's nice, but that's not valuable to me. Value to me means X. So
Right.
when you capture 100% feedback, then I'm finding what really matters most to you, the way and why it matters to you. That way, I can provide what you're looking for in a way that matters to you to receive it. And so I think it's ease in the transaction, ease in the communication, it's ease in the transfer of value. So it's avoiding misunderstandings.
Mhm.
It's avoiding it's so basically that's what I love delivering value. And delivering value is if there is value.
So, Luis, when you were mentioning that the whole industry is based on part numbers, how silly it is that we as humans create computer systems and we create strategy on computer systems so that the computers can process data. A part number is nothing else than a computer system generated field that is used in order to have unique identifiers. But our brains don't work that way. Those are computer brains created by us. We actually identify things the way they are. So that's how you're adding massive value. Imagine that this industry is forcing people to use something that is awkward and it doesn't make sense, right?
I don't know if you heard this. I heard years ago where a kid asked his mom, "Why do you make 12 cookies in an oven? Why does it have to be 12 cookies?" And I said, and the mom said, "Well, I don't really know, but we can ask your grandma." And so the mom goes and asks the grandmother or her mom. He said, "No, it's just because the ovens were small then. So we only could fit a cookie sheet that we can only fit 12. But now they're bigger and they're different. We just are used to, innovation or maybe creativity or maybe thinking in terms of value is thinking if this makes sense." And so it's easier to improve what is than really to think about it in another way, that it's maybe a common sense way, because this is not, it's not rocket science. It's just, like the example with the toothpaste is, you rather look for the toothpaste with mint than the part number. For the supermarket, they need to order with part numbers because there is a perfect match, like you're saying, computer to computer or ordering that way.
Yeah, it's crazy how you actually force people to do this, and then companies come like you, and then you get amazing value because you're adding amazing value back to the community. Yeah. So how did you get into this business? How long have you run it? So your main business is the engine parts, right?
That's
an old business.
That's an old business. I'm originally from Venezuela.
Okay.
And my dad had a business slightly different, but in kind of the same industry there. And I was working at a bank at the time, and he asked me if I could help him find something that he was looking for. And I started helping him. And after a while, he said to me, the idea actually came from him. I said, "Why don't you do it in the US?" And he said, "The US is a completely different ballgame. It's about specialists. It's about, the marketplace is a lot more demanding. In Venezuela, if you don't have this, and if you're looking for red, but you have blue, it has the same function. They'll take the blue. Here, they will take the red, and it has to be perfect. So it's a completely different market. But he brought up an interesting point. I said, "How many big companies in this industry are there?" And I said, 3 or 4. And so he said to me, "Could there be 5?" And I said, "Of course there could be 5." And so it started my mind thinking. I was in banking. I was not in the engine parts business. It started my mind thinking, and the beauty of ignorance, meaning you don't know how much work it needs to be done to actually start a business and run a business. Ignorance was a bliss. In youth and actually curiosity. So I had those 3 elements. I was young, I was curious, and I was ignorant. And those were the 3 ingredients. And so I started a private label business. So I was labeling my products with our label. So I had the resistance not only of being a new business, but being a private label and creating a brand, and then market in a marketplace that where there was risk of the type of inventory. In our business, if you order the wrong part, you live with the wrong part and you die with the wrong part. You know, it's just like an anchor. It just stays. Be very careful. But it really came out of an idea, out of questions, really, out of not even brainstorming. It was just curiosity. We were on an airplane, and that question came up.
So did you start the business in Venezuela or over here?
Never. I was working at the bank in Boston, and then I left Boston, came to Miami, started working from here, and
so you already had a career in banking. So you were a bank employee.
I was a credit analyst for 3 years in a bank called Bank of New England. So it's a completely different industry.
Has nothing to do with diesel powered engines. That's amazing.
Actually, you know, that all businesses are in a way similar, because I learned a lot from the bank, because I was in charge of analyzing companies for credit. So I had to look for the economy. If someone came to request a loan, I had to look at the economy, how the economy was doing, how the industry was doing, how the competitors in that industry were doing, and how the business was doing, to arrive to really analyze, you know, the merits of if that loan was going to be paid back. And so it exposed me to a lot of industry and a lot of companies, and I kind of saw a lot of common patterns, patterns such as a concentration of customers. You know, we have big sales, but concentration where we have 10 customers, or we are geographically located in this. We have a lot of customers, but they're all in this county. And things, or the product line would be not well. So there were a lot of things that I was exposed to that actually, when I moved, in other words, when I moved into this new arena, I already knew the potholes that in a way was able to design the start of the adventure, looking always at what to do, but what not to do as well. And one thing that I learned from my dad in Venezuela, my father in Venezuela, in his business, is that Latin American countries go up and down. The economies go up and down. So one of my primary focus was diversification. Local, US, and little by little, that's how we got to eventually to sell to so many countries.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter, you know, if something is not working here, there's something working here, or working. So, you know, it's that, and so it makes the business stable.
That's beautiful, because you're not relying on a single economy. You have multiple economies working at the same time.
Yeah.
That's it, Luis. That's incredible. How did you start the business? Do you have a retail shop, or it was a warehouse? Like how did you, like, how was those first 3 years of your business?
I rented a warehouse, and I did absolutely everything. I cut the grass, I painted, I received, I got up early, I went to try to visit customers. I started trying to put things in the computer. Like I said, ignorance was great. Now that I look at it, because if you think about it, people would say, no, there are other things to do that could be easier to do and could be
right.
has more potential or potential. I just didn't know, but I had the idea of where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So that way I had thrown the anchor there, and all I had to go is through whatever was in front of me, not in a way of pushing things around, but whatever obstacle is more the question, how do I get around? How do I make that an opportunity as opposed to, and so that's where I guess the idea of value, you know, if my competitors, if I'm new and my competitors, what do my competitors not do? Well, they're not open on Saturdays and Sundays. So I worked a lot of Saturdays and Sundays for emergencies at the beginning. I visited all my all competitors, and I started to know what their strengths and weaknesses who were and where to position myself. So when someone visited me, they would really know, okay, this is the place for this.
Beautiful.
So there was a lot of trial and error, but there was a lot of curiosity and more an objective to get to the other side.
Crazy, right? Because you come from a comfortable office where your salary was pretty much a given,
yes.
right? And now you're cutting grass, you're becoming a salesperson, you have to do data entry in the computer. And those grassroots, though, makes you appreciate once you make it, once you become successful like you are now. I think it's a beautiful way to create a contrast. Because if you don't know what it's like to work hard, you will not be able to enjoy when you make it happen, and it's a lot easier now, right?
Yeah, you're right. You always have to know both sides of anything, the good and the bad, or the what they call the fluid and the solid. In some literature, they call it. You have to know the both sides to really make a better decision or know how to appreciate the value of where you are or where you want to go. Absolutely. I have a story that I want to share with you. My old father-in-law, which I loved, he passed away many years ago. But he said to me when I was starting, he said to me, Luis, you have an advantage. And this is when I was just starting, and I could not think of an advantage because my English was so, the industry was, I just didn't see. And I said to him, what is that advantage? I'd like to see it. I like all the advantages that I could. And he says, you're an immigrant. And I said, what do you mean by that? He says, immigrants do whatever they have to do to get their family established. And, whether they have to do it and put their kids, if they're going to make sure that if you don't succeed, the next generation succeed. And I had never looked at things that way. And that was incredibly valuable to me to really, because it was an advantage. I was not taking anything for granted. Everything was there. Everything was a gift. Everything was there to be grateful for. And I just had to figure out how.
And it's the immigrant advantage. Actually, and it happens in every country. It doesn't really have to happen in the USA or Canada. For example, I was born in Guatemala. And if you look at the most prosperous families in the country were immigrants from other countries, people that came with nothing. A lot of people that was fleeing World War I, World War II, that they found safe haven in this country, in Guatemala. And they just worked hard and they never took anything for granted, and they created amazing wealth. It's a beautiful thing to have, and it's actually a disadvantage for local people that are born in abundance, because you just don't have the grit. And it's about the contrast of what you said, right? Like, it's like, I came with nothing, I'm going to make myself something. Otherwise, why did I come? I should have stayed home, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to make it worthwhile.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So there is.
That's fascinating. How long did it take you to hire your first employee?
Oh, about a year.
So you were by yourself a whole year, and that's hard. That's really hard because you have nobody to share anything with, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes, it's true. It's hard, and you appreciate every minute, and I mean, it is fun too. It's fun because you're teaching something that you are creating, and that you are in a way are start to co-create. And as someone else comes in, then little by little, I think that one of the hardest things is to create a culture. But once you have a culture, it becomes easy, because the culture, you either fit in the culture or you don't. But if you fit, it's a culture that makes the person coming in grow, and everybody else too, because there is always, one of the things we say is that if we're hiring someone, we ask, what is it that you admire in that person? Even if it's junior or even if it has little experience, what is it that you admire in that person from the interview? Because everyone has something, and we're not looking for everyone to be the same, but everyone to have an expertise, everyone to bring something that is lacking. It doesn't have to be experience. It could be a great disposition that really uplifts everybody else.
I learned about the whole culture thing the hard way. I had military training, and it gave me a lot of discipline, but also it created a misconception in my mind how to run a business. So I was running my business like the army, and I didn't know that there was such a thing as culture. So I was treating my employees like soldiers. And so if I'm paying you, I expect you to do what I say, like that, and very tough. And it only got me so far until everything almost collapsed. I had to start from scratch. In 2011, I went from 110 people down to 7 people or something like that. And it's because I imploded because of the culture. The culture that I created was horrible. So, in fact, it took me 2 years to realize that it was a cultural problem. And then at the end of 2012, I said to myself, I'm not a good leader. I don't even know what culture is. So I got myself into another degree in leadership. And it's funny because my graduation was in Boston a year later. So I graduated in November 2013 in Boston, and it really taught me how to build a good culture and how to be a good leader and a benevolent leader, not to be a manager, but to be a leader, right? To inspire people to do what you like, not to force them to do what you like, right?
I think inspiring is very important. Something that my wife told me a while back, when there are always moments that are not ideal, and you have to be the leader, whether you make decisions that are unpopular or have the conversations that are not the best, or whether some project is taking more time, etc., or something didn't work out. And she said to me, why don't you think when you go to work that you have already retired? And that you're going there to inspire people.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I have never, it's about, a lot of times it's about looking at it from a different point of view. And I cannot tell you what that does to me every day when I think, as if I was retired, how would I go? Because I really enjoy, I really enjoy people, but I'm very, what do they call, perfectionist, or I like things to work a right way. I like to make sure that what we say we deliver,
right?
But sometimes I wasn't inspiring. I was more demanding. And even though the right culture, you can still be demanding, but when you come from a place that there is much less stress, then you come with the energy is just different. What you're transmitting is different. So that has really helped me. That has really helped me a lot.
That's beautiful. I'm going to take that to my heart. I never thought about that in that way. What a beautiful way to think about. Imagine that you're retired and just coming to inspire people. What you're saying there is, don't worry about the bottom line. Don't worry about your clients or anything else. Just focus on your employees. Make sure they are inspired to do the right thing, and then everything else is going to be taken care of, which is actually true, right? Money is a byproduct of the value that you add to the marketplace. And the only way to add value to the marketplace is through your employees. Yeah. There is no other way, unless you're self-employed. So then it's through you, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Luis, for sharing that. That's a great insight. How long did it take you to break even? When you said, okay, this business is self-sustaining right now.
Forever. My father used to say that it takes business 10 years. And I said, it's not going to take 10 years to be break even. A number of years, probably 4 years or so. 4
years. So you were funding the company with your own money until it actually became broke even. This is what people don't get, right? Like, being an entrepreneur, for me, is one of the hardest things that I've done in my life. The rewards, though, far surpasses the efforts, right? But you have to be in it. For me, it was a decision whether I'm going to do this or I'm going to die. Like, there is no other way, right? And if I'm going to fail, I want to fail in such a big way that I know that I did whatever I could to make it happen, right?
Yeah. No, it does take. And so when I was doing this new business, software business, which I'm still not completely, but I've been working on this in a way for a number of years. And so I am looking for something that is hopefully will be of value to a lot of people, and a lot of value, little value, It's not inspiring. But if I know that I can prevent a business from going bad, the statistics are horrendous on statistics, but with the feedback, when you know 100%, when you know how three things, how your customers feel, what matters most to them, and why, you can, you know what not to do, and you know what to do. So in a way, you're making your business, your decision, your team much more efficient right from the beginning, because you're not going to concentrate on anything that really doesn't matter. That's not going to matter. And but it takes, yeah, it's taken years, and I mean, it helps us. So I want to help other people, but I was selfish in the respect that I didn't create it, or wasn't creating it for other people. I was creating it because I had a real need. I spent a lot of time away, and I could get all the reports of sales, what the products were, who we sold it to, how frequently we sold it, but I didn't know how they felt. I didn't know if they would come back. So I didn't know if the line was going to, projections are easy. Things are going to go this way. Reality is it could go either way. And so the past is only an expectation, but if I add this, if I know if they bought, and I know what matters most to them, if we provide a value, I have a greater certainty of what my line is going to go, how my line is going to go. If it's going to go like this, but I know how to repair it, I can work on the things that matter most that I'm not delivering, so that line, well, it doesn't have to take 2 days or 6 weeks. It may take a little longer, but I know what value I'm not providing, and I can. By the same token, I know far ahead, far ahead from my competition, when the trend is changing, when people are changing, their needs are changing, because I hear it every single time when I interact with customers. Whereas maybe some other people that don't have 100% customer feedback will hear one time here, one time there. So it's not as clear until it becomes clear, and then there's too late, because I'm already riding the wave, or they're just getting on the wave. So
right.
Information is and it's fun to know. It is to me, it's fun to know if I'm delivering good value. If I have the people, let's just say on the green, for simplicity's sake, that they're happy, and I know why, it's really rewarding. And to everyone in the team, that's part of what creates the culture, because everyone is getting feedback, objective feedback, not from me, from the customer himself. So it's fun. I'm having fun.
And isn't it brilliant that you have a main business, and out of that you filled up a necessity that you know that other businesses can actually use. It's like, you know, when you solve your own needs and you realize that somebody else can actually get benefit from it, you have a beautiful business proposition, right? It's not easy though. It's still not easy.
No, that's what I'm saying. When you say, how long does it take it to break even? I have no idea. I really have no idea. But I know what the power that information, not of information, of right information. And I don't know if you know what insider trading is. Do you know what insider trading is? Okay, insider trading is illegal, but basically is that you have perfect information, so your decision is very easy. Yeah, I will buy this stock because I know it's going to go up. Most of us in business work not in that world. We work in the thinking world. Well, I think this is going to work and this is not going to work. But when you have the information, 100% information on how customers feel, what matters most and why, from your customers, you're kind of moving into the perfect information column. So your results are much more predictable.
Yeah, because you're getting the constant feedback from people that are buying your services and your products. It's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is a no-brainer.
And I think the breakthrough that you created was automating that, so that every customer can give you their feedback at the end of the transaction. It's part of the workflow, and I believe it's gonna do great things, Luis. And congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Tell me, so you've been in business for how long now?
32 years.
32 years. You know, most businesses go out of business within 2 years. And I think it's like 2 or 3% makes it to 10 years. So you must be doing something right. Congratulations on that. Tell me, I've been in business for 17 years and I almost went bankrupt 3 or 4 times. What has been the worst problem that you had to encounter and how did you went through it and overcame it?
I was terrible. I don't know how to hire, so that's terrible. I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking at, but hiring is, I connect with the person. And I think so. Then a week later, I know that it's not going to work out. So that was always a challenge because it's energy to train, it's energy to explain, it's energy to this and to do over and over and over again. That was always the biggest challenge. I mean, it still is in more in this economy, but I think that today we can paint a much better picture of where we're heading and what we're doing so that it's more clear to a person coming in. But I think the biggest challenge has been finding the people that love what they're doing. And sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not, but if you're lucky enough to find people that love what they're doing, I think that's more than half, more like I would say 90% of making sure that you're an organization that is alive, that will grow, that kind of organically grows from the inside, because people that are interested are asking questions. How can we do this better? This didn't work. This needs to be done this way. So it's not one person carrying everything or one person overseeing and supervising, but every individual is actually contributing. And that's I think some challenges at the very beginning were where we were not diversified enough. So if we were selling to, let's just say, the US in a recession, then that would be very difficult. Or if I was selling to one country, or Venezuela, which is the country with the highest inflation rate, which we don't sell anything, we haven't sold anything for years. You can see those dips that are challenging. I guess it's a trajectory. I guess like anything, if you stay longer, you're paying attention, you get better. If you live to be past 65, your chances to get to a certain level is greater, and so on. So yeah, many challenges, but people was really a big one for me.
Beautiful. How were you prepared for the 2008 crisis, and how were you affected?
The 2008 was, I always try to run against the herd. So when I saw the crisis, as I said, this is when we need to spend money in advertising, we need to invest in this, because everybody contracts. There's a recession, so I'm going to cut back on people, I'm going to come back on advertising, I'm going to come back on this, I'm going to lower my inventory because I don't know what's going to happen. And what I did was completely the opposite. 100% the opposite.
Did it work out?
Yes, it did, because there is less competition. People don't advertise as much. People are not, and people are talking negative. Whereas I was injecting energy in terms of products, projects, ideas. And so inside, when people come inside, it's your responsibility as a business or entrepreneur, or even is to make sure that whatever troubles are coming from home, when they arrive in the office or work, that is an environment that provides stability, hope that they can then take home. So it's in the work. Sometimes people say, it's in the home. Everybody has a different home, different situations, different challenges. But what we have more control is in the office, because it's more objective and it's more. And so it was 100%, 180-degree from what. Of course, you turn off the TV and you turn off the news.
Yes.
And you focus on what you want to do, and you realize that you have, again, more gifts than you realize, and then you work on those gifts. And so, so I applied that. Age helps, because if you've seen it one time, the next time come around, you kind of say, okay, that worked and that didn't work. And
experience, right? And what does Warren Buffett say? Be fearful when the market is aggressive and be aggressive when the market is fearful. And it's kind of counter inductive, but it's the truth, right? Like I have the same approaches to recessions as you have. In fact, I do great in recessions because I have a software company that provides software services to people. And when recessions hits, people lay off developers, they lay off business analysts, and they hire companies like us to get the job done still.
Yeah.
But on a project basis, not on a permanent full-time salary basis, right?
It is. It's so in these, when COVID came, it was the only time, because we sell, like I said, we were diversifying to different countries and different, individual customer. COVID was the first time that it impacted the entire world. So we saw a little dip. We saw a dip for 3 months, and then we ended up a little bit over the year before. But it was a dip that I said, well, this one I didn't anticipate. But with the, I always tell, when we hear really bad news on the news, recession, all this, I said, focus on what we can do today. And sometimes if people have not gone through they're younger, that they have not gone through 1 or 2 recessions, or come from a place where you see things that are not stable, then it's harder. But once they experience it, they see, okay, and you start believing in the plan, and believe in what you're doing. And then if it takes time, it doesn't take time, but you adapt. Yeah, definitely.
That's fantastic, Luis. I really thank you for your knowledge, your wisdom. I can tell that you're a very seasoned entrepreneur, and we have so much to learn from you. And I want to be respectful of your time.
I'm 62. That's the only.
Well, one last question before we finish the podcast, brother. If you had access to a billboard in front of the busiest highway on earth, what would you write in it?
If I had a billboard to write
access to a billboard, to write something.
Gratitude is the only, because it puts you in a mindset of abundance, of feeling content, and from not worrying, or from not this, you start to flow. You're going to be able to look at things in a more central way, because so I would say gratitude.
That's fantastic. One of the things that we changed when in my company was our values. I had about 12 values that nobody remembered. And if you think about it, culture runs on values, but people have to live the values, because it's not only something that you put on your wall, it's something that people live every day. And my values, when I changed them back to only 3 values. And the first value is gratitude. And so, but we live it, right? So every time we start a meeting, we start with gratitude. We ask people, what are you grateful for right now? And there is always different things to be grateful about, and it changes the mindset of the people so that we're more productive. So,
and you learn from other people that they're grateful for. So I didn't think of that, but beautiful. Beautiful.
Luis, thank you so much, brother, for your time. If people like to find you online, where can they reach you, or they want to learn more about your 2 businesses?
One is the engine parts business is dieselpro.com, and the other is customergreen.com. The Customer Green is the feedback system.
The feedback system.
Customergreen.com.
Brother, thank you so much for being on the show. You're always welcome to come back here and keep making this world a better place. Blessings.
Thank you so much. It's great to see your smile. Thank you.
Cheers.
That's all for today's episode of the Break Free Podcast. Head on over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Starting your own business can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. Visit davidmansilla.com to pick up a copy of the #1 international best-selling book, Breaking Out of Corporate Jail. Expand what you consider to be possible and reach your full potential. And join us on the next episode.